You know, it's really frustrating to me when TNA puts on shows like this. And they're really hard to review because when I see a show that gets so many things absolutely wrong, I'm just left feeling really bewildered and dumbfounded and just not really sure what to say or how to say it. But I'm going to do my best here. We had 3 title matches on this show, and all 3 had a bunch of things wrong with them. Okay? First of all, the Knockouts title match. It was way too short. There were no promos beforehand. They made no effort to hype up the match or build up Roxy by mentioning her win at Lockdown. They didn't even mention the fact that Roxy was basically the only woman left on the roster that Kong hadn't beaten yet. I mean, what was the point of giving Roxy the win in Queen of the Cage if you're just going to waste all the momentum she got from it like this? I mean, the whole thing was treated like a total throwaway segment. And despite all that, the segment still saw a ratings bump, by the way. Next, the X Division title match. Again, way too fucking short. It didn't have nearly the intensity it should have, considering the history between these two guys, and I don't think the announcers even mentioned that history when they should have been playing it up. But there was one good thing that came out of this, and that was Petey Williams attacking Jay Lethal after the match, cashing in the title shot he got from Steiner, and winning the title. And now, finally, we have taken the belt off of Jay Lethal, which I have been begging for months. And that's not a knock on Jay Lethal. Like I've said in the past, I like Jay Lethal a lot, but the writers have just completely dropped the ball on his title reign at almost every step of the way. You know, he's been made to look like an awful champion. It was time for a change, and finally, we got one. And then there's the much more pressing matter of a tag title match. This situation with the tag team titles had to have been one of the most ludicrous things the TNA has done in a while. There were so many things wrong with this thing, I don't even know where to begin, really. Okay, look. Except for a non-title loss to the Motor City Machine Guns, AJ and Tomko have been dominant tag team champions for months, like 6 months or something like that. So whichever team that finally took their belts would have gotten a huge rub if that title change had been executed with any degree of competence whatsoever. But that's not what happened. This match first of all, this match should have been the main event of the show, but it wasn't. This match damn sure should have been longer than 7.5 minutes, but it wasn't. The title change should have been portrayed like a huge deal, but it wasn't. And then there's all this confusing crap that happened afterwards. Okay, if you wanted to give the rub of dethroning the champs to Kaz and Eric, that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. Kaz has been without a belt for too long. But when the match is so damn short, and the champions are beaten so easily, the title change loses all its impact. You have to take the time to make the situation seem important, to get the audience invested in the match, to build up the drama of a potential title change before you get to the actual title change, or else you get what TNA served up, which is a title change that is absolutely meaningless. This is just like that Kurt Angle Sting match on Impact from a few months ago. They hyped that thing up like as the biggest match in the history of Impact, their exact words, I believe. But then when it came time for the show to go on, they treated that match like it was just any other match, like it meant nothing at all. And as bad as this was, what happened afterwards was even worse. Okay, AJ and Tomko went to Jim Cornette and they came up with this retarded song and dance about how they can't lose the belts to Super Eric since their opponent was Eric Young, even though Super Eric and Eric Young are the same person, and any idiot can see that. And then, when all Eric has to do to keep the titles is admit that Super Eric and Eric Young are the same person, he doesn't do it. Basically saying that this bullshit secret identity gimmick is more important than the tag team titles, and making himself look like the biggest moron on a wrestling show in recent memory. So within the span of 2 segments, TNA somehow managed to dethrone the longtime tag team champions in such a way that made the title change meaningless and completely devalued the tag team titles at the same time, and did all this in probably the most confusing, convoluted, retarded way it could have possibly been done. The only saving grace in this whole thing was that Jim Cornette kept acknowledging the fact that this whole situation was stupid as hell, and he was embarrassed to be a part of it. Okay, then there's the Scott Steiner thing. Okay, as far as Scott Steiner being the #1 contender for Samoa Joe's world title, I don't like it. Okay, Steiner hasn't been pushed as a legit main eventer in over a year. And now, just because he stole Petey Williams' title shot, we're supposed to believe that he's a threat to Samoa Joe? Sorry, TNA, it doesn't work like that. You know, Sacrifice better have a really good undercard, because that is not a very strong main event match. I think Steiner, you know, he'll probably be able to hang with Joe for a few minutes, but then he'll just gas out. And I've always liked Scott Steiner, but that's what the guy does. He gasses out because he's so huge. And as weak as that match is on paper, TNA didn't even try to make it look like a big deal. I mean, they had a confrontation with Joe and Steiner to start the show, but as soon as Kurt Angle showed up, Steiner basically disappeared. That's not how you build up your #1 contender. By doing stuff like that, you're basically flat out saying that Steiner has no chance at all. And then there was this bizarre finish of the main event with Booker T getting pissed off at Matt Morgan when all Matt Morgan did was stop the heels from cheating and help Booker T win. BG James and Kip James were in the match for some reason, and I shouldn't have to tell anybody what's wrong with that. There's just so many things wrong with this show. Oh my god. And I mean, there were some good things on it too. New X Division champion, forward movement on the Sanjay Dutt storyline, some good new young talent in the main event scene. You know, James Storm, Robert Roode, but the bad stuff outweighed the good stuff this week, and I really hate doing reviews when I have to say that. TNA, you need to do better than this, seriously. I know you're capable of doing better than this, but you need to start using your heads before you make stupid decisions like the ones you made on this show, and I should not have to point these things out. That's it. And hopefully next week's show will be better than this. See ya.